Hello everybody, how's it going? And welcome to our Let's Build a Zoo series where we are building a franchise zoo in Sandbox mode. In this episode we are adding a Gemsbok exhibit. It's a cute little exhibit, kind of like a desert theme. We just needed to fill in the space and I really felt like a Gemsbok would be a really nice animal to add to the exhibit. So the Gemsbok aren't really that endangered. They're kind of least concern. Actually, their numbers are increasing based on the information I was reading from in the game, in the Zoopedia. So I decided today's topic to discuss, I just kind of wanted to talk about climate change. And I know it's the big one, climate change and global warming. Everybody always talks about it. But a lot of times from my experience of, having conversations about it, a lot of people don't really actually know what climate change is. And climate change and global warming are separate things. Global warming is actually an effect of climate change. So I thought I would take this time to really, just kind of a really basic explanation of what climate change is, the things that are causing it, the effects that are becoming because of it, and, some things that we can do at home to help alleviate some of that, effect of climate change. So climate change describes a change in the average conditions, such as temperature and rainfall, over a region over a long period of time. So, for example, 20,000 years ago, much of the United States was covered in glaciers. In the United States today, we have a lot warmer climates and not a lot of glaciers. So, a lot of people will attempt to debunk climate change by saying, oh, it was really cold today. The global warming is nothing, or something along those lines. This is not a good argument. It's extremely invalid. And the main reason is because climate does not refer to weather. Weather is more of a short-term thing, like a storm system or a cold spell and things like that. Whereas climate describes, a weather condition over a long period of time. Usually, I think it's like 30 years is the time that they take to research a certain climate in an area. So it might be raining in Arizona for 2 weeks or so because of storm systems, but that doesn't mean that Arizona has a rainy climate. You know what I mean? It just has some rainy weather. It's usually really dry there. So that's one of the big important factors to be able to tell is whether or not you're talking about the weather or whether or not you're talking about the climate, because climate change has to do with climate. So global climate change refers to the average long-term change over the entire Earth. So these include weather's warming and temperature or change in precipitation. And all of these things affect Earth's warming. So the rise in the sea level, the shrinking of mountain glaciers, ice melting faster than usual in places like Greenland and Antarctica and the Arctic, and change in the flowers and plants blooming over time. Earth's climate has constantly been changing, even long before humans came into the picture. So scientists have observed unusual changes recently, and for example, Earth's average temperature has been increasing more quickly than they had expected over the past 150 years. So it is normal. A lot of people will say it's normal for the climate to change. It's normal for it to fluctuate up and down. That's why we had an ice age. Yes, this is true. It is very normal for it to fluctuate between being colder temperatures and warmer temperatures. But the reason it's a problem is because it's happening faster than it's supposed to. It is happening way faster because of things that the humans are doing, or people are doing. I shouldn't say humans, but the things that we are doing is causing it to change faster, and we're not prepared for it. On average, global air temperatures near Earth's surface have gone up 2 degrees Fahrenheit in the past 100 years. So, 2 degrees might not seem a lot, but the small amount of change does fluctuate all kinds of things and changes the way that the water, changes the way sea levels, because a small temperature change can have a huge impact on things like glaciers and the water temperature as well. So Earth's temperature, when the whole sorry, I'm reading off of my blog. This is where I'm getting all the information from. If that's why it kind of sounds like I'm just reading a report sometimes, that's what I'm doing. I'm just kind of skimming through it and trying to give you guys all the important facts. And like always, my blog and this where this can be found, this blog I'm reading off of can be found in the link in the description box below. So it says, there are a lot of factors that contribute to Earth's climate. However, scientists agree that Earth has been getting warmer in the past 50 to 100 years due to human activity. Certain gases in Earth's atmosphere block heat from escaping, and this is called the greenhouse gas, or greenhouse effect. So gases that keep Earth warm, like a glass in a greenhouse, keeps plants warm. Human activities such as burning fuel, power factories, cars, and buses all change natural greenhouse gases. So basically, when we're using more of these things, it's creating more greenhouse gases. The Earth is used to regulating these things. It's natural. You know, they come out of whatever. So volcanic eruptions, for example, cause greenhouse gases. But things like glaciers and seawater is another really important one. Sucks CO2, and plants, obviously, the rainforest and stuff like that, sucks CO2 out of the air, so it's constantly being regulated. But now that we are introducing more CO2, it's causing those greenhouse gases to increase, and at a rate that Earth isn't designed to naturally regulate, if that makes any sense. So, these changes cause the atmosphere to trap more heat, and is leading to a warmer Earth. The reason this matters is because oceans, land, air, plants, animals, and energy from the sun all have an effect on one another. The combined effect of all these things gives us our global climate. In other words, Earth's climate functions like one big connected system. Everything works with one another, and when we introduce one factor that tweaks one of those things, it throws the whole chain off. So we have all kinds of things that are trying to keep track of this. So like NASA's Earth Observing Satellite constantly collects information and things like that. So what can we do at home to help alleviate some of this climate change or things that are affecting climate change? So climate change is going to be a big thing. You can't just fix it by recycling. It's going to need a lot of work from our government to make, policies that are going to help stop factories from burning as many fossil fuels and things like that. And you can't really sit at home and recycle paper and think climate change is going to be fixed. But by doing some things at home, it'll help alleviate a little bit of it. And these are some of the things that I have here that can help with that. So using green energy, of course, so trying to find ways to alleviate, emitting more greenhouse gases. Saving energy as well, because that also cuts emissions. Optimizing your diet. So one way is to actually cut meat out of your diet, but I'm going to do a whole other blog and video about how cutting meat out of your diet can help with a lot of different things in the environment, because there's quite a lot of things. So avoiding plastic, that's another good thing, because you have to use fossil fuels to make plastic, also to break it down. So just about every stage of life that the plastic has, it uses fossil fuels and creates emissions. So just try to stop using plastic as much as possible. Sharing things like cars and clothes and tools will require us to not need to make as many things, and it'll help, consolidate some of those things. Shrinking your footprint, so reducing your CO2. And this, I'm going to do another blog on this as well, on how to reduce your CO2 emissions and your footprint. Trying not to fly. Now, yes, flying is the fastest way to get from point A to point B, but it does require an insane amount of energy, fuel, and releases a lot of CO2. So trying to drive, if you can, instead of flying is good. Investing in sustainability, making sure that the companies you're putting money into are helping the environment. So, making sure you're not buying from really crappy places that make, different products that aren't really helping the environment. Riding a bike is a small thing you can do to help reduce your CO2 emissions. And also protecting our forests. Forests are a big thing, and I have a whole video about that. The last one we did on giraffes was all about deforestation. So if you haven't seen that, check that out as well, because there's 10 more things that you can do to help alleviate deforestation. But the video is coming to an end. We have some glamour shots here. We're kind of running out of time, but leave a like and a comment. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.